Good. Hang on. Keep going.
Anybody else coming?
Coach Tick. How you doing?
Felt like after the Oregon game was a good time for a bye. I don't know, and maybe it feels like it's a good time to get right back out there after the Utah game. I wonder if you kind of feel like that.
Yeah, you don't win. You want to play. So, I don't know, after the Oregon game was a good time for a bye. I mean, there's always guys we got to get healed up. That goes from first game to last game. But it's time to get back out there.
If somebody hadn't seen you guys play and they just asked, why 5-4 after 9? What happened? What's the story for Husker football after 9 games?
Inconsistent.
Yeah.
We show flashes. We play good ball. But I think when we get against some pretty good teams where you got to play consistent and you got to play your best or you're not going to win, we haven't done that. And so that's what it is.
Coach, with you and Jonathan Smith knowing each other's tendencies, how much does that play into this game?
There's too many. You can't, you start defending ghosts. Oh, they might do this. Oh, they know about that. You just got to play. You got to play ball. You got to trust your rules, and you got to go. There's too much football on tape. By this time of the season, there's too many things, and so, both sides are game planners, and so there's going to be some stuff that they haven't seen that we haven't seen. And so you got to do what you do.
A lot of the players this week have talked about working on consistency in practice. How do you go about doing that in a practice setting and making it translate to games?
It comes to, mental discipline and toughness and staying locked in and having the stamina to get through a practice of rep after rep. And, if you don't do it in practice, you're not going to do it in the game. That we know for sure. So we're just working on being more consistent there. And, some of these guys think they've taken a lot of reps. They have, but I think about some of the scout guys that we have that take every rep out here and give tremendous effort. And we tell our guys, you think you got it hard? Look at the guys that are giving us a look every day. And so I got a lot of respect for the guys on, 1 through 105 or whatever the number is. Some of those guys have done a tremendous job really trying to help us.
Consistency seems to be a buzzword for you guys right now. How surprised are you after 9 games that you're still not as consistent as you'd like to be?
That's a theme every year. Mm-hmm. Now, whether you win the games or not, we're never as consistent as we want to be.
Yeah.
And, some of that has to do with depth and experience and talent. It's not going to be any one thing. Everybody wants to pin it on one thing. And our job as coaches is, we get it. That's why there's a scoreboard. If you don't win, then there's all kinds of second guessing and all those type of things.
Yeah.
And it's not that simple to say it's this, it's this reason. It's our job as coaches to try to put these guys in the best position that we can to give them a chance to win.
Remember we talked in July about, I asked you what your big question was about this team, and you mentioned just the youth on defense and the new faces on defense. Whatever you thought they'd be doing in November, the progress rate that they would make in November, are they kind of where you thought they'd be, behind where they thought they'd be? What do you make of the way the defense has evolved?
We've been used to playing elite defense around here. And so when there's a step back there, you're never good. We're trying to be elite at every position and every side of the ball in every phase. I think there's some guys that have really taken steps forward that have been impressive.
Like who?
I think a guy like Trent McDuffie wasn't even here. I think a guy like Live Onzarike, man, that guy's playing some lights out football. Thule's playing some good football. So there's some really good football on that side for these individuals. But it is a team game, and everybody has to play at a consistent level for us to, take the step that we want to.
Chris, when you broke down the tape of the Utah game, and you just mentioned stamina as like a culprit or something that needed to be worked on. Is that really just a physical stamina, or are you also talking about the mental side of it?
I think it's way more mental than physical this time. I think our guys are fresh enough and, all those things. We've had a bye, and so it's not that. I think our strength and conditioning staff's done a really nice job with that. And our guys have practiced really hard. They're not like coming out here dragging or anything like that. So it really has to do with just locking in. It's like, that's a good play. That's a good play. Okay, here's a critical situation. That's not a good enough play. And so, that's, like I say, that's on us as coaches to try to recreate that and try to help them simulate what this looks like and feels like.
And talking to Elijah Molden, he talked about how this week was such a grind because it's the short week, but how it just seemed like to a man talking to the coaches and players, they were really chomping at the bit to get back out there. How would you kind of characterize their response this week in practice?
I think it's been really good every week. It really has, because you don't win all your games, all of a sudden things can get frustrating, adversity, and so our guys going to back down, and they haven't. And, I don't think this week has been a grind. I mean, again, I think these guys are in really good shape. I think it's more mental. I mean, it was a quick turnaround, and then we're right back into our routine. You want to see a grind go from Sunday to Thursday in the NFL, like that would be hard to do. And so, it's all relative. But I think these guys are ready.
When you see where Utah and Oregon are in the first college football playoff bowl, do you feel, I don't know if that's a silver lining for you guys or what, but does it kind of at least let people know that the quality of play in the Pac-12 has been pretty good?
Well, I think it is. I've thought that for a while. Everybody wants to bash on the Pac-12, but I think differently, and I have for a while. I don't really get hung up, and I don't pay attention too much to that. What I pay attention to is I know we've played some pretty good teams and played them pretty close, but we've also played some other teams that maybe have been close and didn't need to be close, or we've lost games that we shouldn't have. That has to do with consistency, like playing to the standard that we're capable of playing to, not somebody else's standard. And so how do you, that's the message we've been, hammering. It's always about us. It's not about Utah or the other teams or anyone else. It's just about us playing to how we're capable of playing.
Chris, speaking of not winning all your games, fans get antsy. They like to vent. They like to criticize. They like to go after coaches, sometimes go after players. What do you make of fans out there that are expressing their frustrations and even maybe taking some shots at members of the coaching staff?
That's what fans do, right? They care about their team. They get frustrated. They want to win. Show me a fan base that doesn't do that. They're probably not real fans. That's the nature of sports. That's how it goes.
You like that fans get that fired up here about this team?
I love the passion. I don't listen. There's not a guy on our team that I think pays attention to any of that stuff. I mean, I don't know how many times I could talk about that. Like, why would you do that to, So I would never do that. I wouldn't even know that's going on unless you bring in that negativity my way. So, and I'm serious. I'm 100% serious about that. I don't even pay attention to that. But you know how it goes.
You don't hear KJR from 3 to 7 every day? To get a real accurate look at what's happening?
If we want to go there, to tell you the truth, I've never in one time ever heard your radio show. I swear to God, I have not. The only time I have, and I haven't heard it, is you interviewing me on the radio. That's the only time that I know anything about your radio show. So, sorry.
You and my parents, by the way, are the same. The mistakes that Jacob made in the Utah game, kind of shocking to see all three in one game at one time. How did he kind of bounce out of that game?
I don't think it's shocking, because this is the hardest game in all this position, all sports. And you're going to make that against good teams. I keep saying, the guy hasn't played a lot of football in terms of this level. And so things happen, bang, bang, how'd that happen? That can happen like that. And I think he's played well up to that point. It really has. And turnovers will change the game. I don't care who you're playing. And certainly against a good team it will. But that's why we practice. That's why we try to put him in tough situations, and he's responded well. And sometimes you have a game that, you have a couple plays that can really influence the outcome, but it's never on any one guy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not.
Do you ever have conversations just kind of off the side with him about his future, or does that truly wait until the year is over?
His future is in 2 days. Yeah. What else are we talking about here? You are in such a different place than like everybody else in this program is. And I know that's your job. I mean, I get it. I'm not saying that. You just really are. And so we're trying to be as good as we can be today. And then tomorrow get ourselves ready, and then that's the future.
I just want you to beat Oregon State. I don't know what you're talking about.
So. We're talking the same language there.
Thanks, man.
Okay.
Hi, Gilbert.